Guys, welcome back to a brand new lesson. In today's lesson, we are looking at driver versus 3-wood, the changes you have to make between each club to get the most out of them. Let's take a look at what they are right now. Right, so taking a look at both of the clubs, there are some obvious differences. Driver head is substantially bigger than the 3-wood head. Also, the loft on them, driver, we can see that it's 9 degrees, as where 3-wood, we've got it down at 15 degrees. Also, when we put them down, we can see that the driver is longer than the 3-wood. So it would make sense that we're actually going to approach these differently. If I try and adopt the same setup I have with my 3-wood with my driver, I'm probably not going to get the optimum results out of it. So let's take a look at the 3-wood first and see how we want to set up with this one. And we're talking off the tee as well here. Okay, so 3-wood, like I say, 15 degrees of loft, and what I'm going to be talking about here is my optimum conditions. So for myself, I try and hit up off the tee when it is pegged up. I wouldn't try and hit it down. Now, you might be someone who's actually hitting down on it a little bit. So tee height is actually quite important, because if you are someone who is hitting more up on it versus the person who's hitting down on it more, you're not going to want the same height of tee, because what we would start to see, if you're someone, for instance, who hits down on your 3-wood even when it is pegged up and you've got it teed a little bit higher, you might start to get scuff marks and sky it because your attack angle is a little bit too steep and your strike location would be too high. So understanding how you approach the golf ball is going to help you get the right height for your tee also. So for myself, what I would generally want to do is peg the golf ball with the equator of the golf ball about halfway up the face of the driver. So we would see, the 3-wood. So we would now see that half that equator of the golf ball is just popping over the top. The reason for that, like I say, is that as I'm coming in, I want to get an ascending blow. I want to try and sweep it off. My big aim when I try and hit these is to almost hit it and feel like I just graze the top of the tee each time as I'm coming through. So to do that, if I were to take my stance, I wouldn't have the ball back in my stance like I would do an iron, because if I do that, what I would see is that I'm coming down on it a little bit too much, and that would lead to those sky marks. So for myself, what I'm going to look for is something now where once I've addressed it, if I were to just place my 3-wood in line with the ball here, I can see once my foot is flared, my edge of my shoe just meets it here, and the ball is about an inch behind my lead heel there. Then in terms of width of my stance, what I see a lot of people doing is either one exaggeration to the other. We either get my iron stance where I would be quite narrow, or I go too aggressive, thinking that I'm going to try and hit it too far, so we see real distance between my feet. What I would say, if I were taking it, once I've got my left foot in position, I would always like to feel that my insole here of my shoe is just outside my armpit width here. So we would see as I'm going through, it's just outside the armpit width. I've not gone excessive where it's really outside my shoulder. I just want to feel it's just a little bit there. Then from there, what I want to try and do also to help me hit up on the golf ball is maintain a little bit of tilt on my spine. If we think of the relationship of our spine relative to the golf ball, it's really going to impact how I come down on the golf ball, because if I was hitting this way and I lean my spine excessively forward, I'm most likely going to hit down steeply at the ground. Vice versa, if I really tilt it the other way, I'm really going to be ascending. So with my 3-wood, when I'm trying to get that little bit of an ascending blow, all I want to do is make sure that I have a tiny little bit of tilt. So once I've set up here, I would literally feel like I just move my head just to the back edge of my golf club here. I don't feel like it's really moved back behind it, but I just feel once I've set up, my head feels like my nose almost for me is in line with the back of the edge of the golf club. From there, then I can make this sweeping motion and start to see that I would get that hit up on the golf ball. Let's give it a go and see if we get that nice positive angle of attack and get the most out of this 3-wood. Really nice there. Didn't feel like I had any interaction with the ground, just picked it off the ground, and we shall see there that I've got the correct angle of attack from those. So one more just to run it through you. Let's just go through. So we go ball just behind the heel, about ½ inch to 1 inch, foot flared ever so slightly, trail foot just outside the armpit width, tilt that club spine back so it feels like it's just on the back edge of the club, and then from here, good hit, and there, nicely away with the 3-wood. So that is how we want to be hitting our 3-wood. Let's hop over and see what the differences are with the driver. Driver then, what are the differences going to be? Like I said, there's going to be some subtle ones because the club is so different to that 3-wood. Bear in mind as well, guys, when you are hitting one of these things are hard to hit. There's only 9 degrees of loft on mine, so any little miscalculation with the face, the side spin's going to jump up, and we're going to see that there's quite a lot of curvature, so give yourself a break. If you're struggling with driver, it's probably the hardest club to master in your bag, so be patient. But what would we want to see? Well, firstly, I wouldn't want to see the ball tee down low, because this is going to be a big effect on our strike. If I were to just take some dry shampoo, give the club a little bit of a spray here, and I just hit one off the same tee that my 3-wood was on, even too low for my swing there, we can actually see where that's impacted the club face. So a really horrible flight because it was close to a top because I've got the ball too low on the face. So finding out what your tee height to start off with is where we need to begin with the driver. Like I said, with the 3-wood as well, depending on how much you're hitting up or how much you're hitting down on it is going to affect how high you want that tee. The more you hit up on it, the bigger the tee we want. The more you hit down on it, the smaller the tee we want. For myself, I'm trying to get about 3 to 4 degrees on the up to make sure that I get the right flight. So from here, we can now see, very similar to what I got with my 3-wood, when I place the club in behind the ball, we can now see that the equator of the golf ball, half of it pops up over that club face there. So that is where we want to be. We don't want to have it massively above or massively below. We've got to find out what's right for the angle of attack that we're getting. I'm just going to hit one here and show you the difference on the 2 strike locations. Nice and toey. So even there, when I've not caught it great out of the centre, but look how much higher it is, 1 to 2. So just by getting the right tee height, I'm able to get the right spot. Ideally, there where that fingerprint dot is now, that's where we want to hit the driver every time. So make sure you've got the right tee height according to your angle of attack. Like I said, we want to get an upwards angle of attack. So how are we going to do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to alter our ball position a little bit. We're also going to alter our tilt and our width of stance. Also, one of the big things that I commonly get asked, how should the hands be placed with a driver? What should I see with that? So firstly, let's start ball position. Once I've placed the club in and aligned the ball out of the middle of the club, what I'm now going to see here is that my lead heel and my lead toes are pretty much on line with the golf ball there. From there, then once I do flare the foot, we can still see that my toes are pretty much on the line there. With the 3-wood, we saw it here, driver we see there. So there's 3-wood, there's driver. We can see that it's nudged back about 1 inch. From there, then what I want to see, once I step out, we had my trail foot at about just past arm length width. I'm going to feel now that it's pretty much sat below my shoulder here. So the insole of my trail foot is sat below that shoulder as I stand to it. From here then, one of the big things, like I said, is where should I have my hands? Well, I don't want to have them lent too far back because that's going to point the face off to the left and add loads of loft. And also, I don't want to have them pressed completely forwards, because as soon as I press the handle forwards, it takes loft off. So something that's not got much loft on it already, if I press it forwards, we're not dealing with much loft at all. So what I would say, once you've got in and you've got your feet right here, I would feel that my hands pretty much sit level with the golf ball. They're not drastically behind, they're not drastically in front, they're sitting pretty much level with the golf ball. From there then, I want to see that I'm getting the correct spine tilt, because that's going to help me get up on the golf ball. So what I would do from here, I take my trail hand, place it on my thigh, slide it down until I'm just about an inch above my kneecap, and as we can see there, my spine starts to tilt a lot. And what we should notice is that my shoulder, my lead shoulder, starts to point up quite a bit from there. That then will give me the sort of illusion of looking more at the back of the golf ball. From here now I can make my good golf swing and feel like I'm going to sweep up on it and get those nice long drives. So let's give those a couple of goes. So ball's right in line with that lead heel and lead toe. The foot's gone back a little bit wider. I get that tilt. I feel that my hands are level, and from here we should see we get a nice upward hit, and that was pretty decent. And again, we've got a little bit of the toes today. Now that could be caused by something. If I stand too far away from the golf ball, I would bring that toe into play, and I did feel like I was reaching a little bit for that one. So what we've got to make sure is that there are the appropriate distance to and from the golf ball. So here, a great way to check this, once I've laid my club in and I've gone through my setup, if I were to just about pull the trigger and start to swing, if I lay the club onto my lead leg like so, what I should now see is that for any club in my bag, here's my kneecap, and that club is about 2 inches above there. If it's any more than that, we're going to be too far away. So a great little checkpoint, once you've gone through your setup here and got everything a little bit closer, feel that we've got that checkpoint. If I get a good swing on this now, we should see a more centered strike, a bit like that one, and it's gone longer and further. And would you know it, we've found pretty much that finger spot there just by getting that little checkpoint. So some slight differences, getting that tee height right, making sure we've got the correct tilt, making sure we've got the ball in the right spot, we should see that we're getting the most out of the driver and the 3-wood. Run through this video, guys, make sure that you're doing those things over and over, and we should start to see that you are driving the ball better with your woods. Guys, thanks for watching this lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you have, hit that like button for me. Also, share it to a friend who is an awful driver. Give them the secret they need. Remember as well, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future lessons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.